Hey guys, it's Shelby, otherwise known as Shelbizleee here on YouTube. Today, we're doing an anti-haul, which I know is some of y'all's favorite videos to watch. It's also one of my favorite series on my channel where we talk about some wasteful things that we would not support, that we would not buy, but that we want other people to be aware of how ridiculously silly and just wasteful they are. None of these things come from any particular category, just from things that I think could produce waste around the world that don't need to be happening, that are just unnecessarily wasteful, because that is the entire point of this channel, is to protect our planet, to be less wasteful, and to be more kind to the environment. And speaking of, I wanted to tell you guys who our sponsor is today. It is Squarespace. We'll talk more about them towards the end of the video, but if you want to start a website, you can get 10% off with my discount. And the reason I really love partnering with Squarespace is because I know that when I became inspired to live a more eco-friendly lifestyle, all I wanted to do was tell people about it. I wanted to share my knowledge. I actually started a blog a long time ago when I first became interested in environmentalism. So if you want to get started with a website, go ahead and use Squarespace. Like I said, we'll talk about them towards the end, but I would love to hear, even if you're not going to start the website yourself, if you have an idea for a website that could help the environment, I want to start a conversation about that in the comments of my videos where I work with Squarespace, because there's so many website ideas out there and I think we should share them so we can get them started. But anyway, without further ado, first thing I wrote down on my anti-haul list is single-use crayons at restaurants. So if you've ever noticed, a lot of restaurants have kids menus that have like little puzzles and coloring things on there that you can do, or the kids can do. Maybe you could do them too if you really wanted, I guess. Anyway, the papers with the menu for the kids, and then also usually like activities for them to do to distract them without them being upset at the dinner table while adults are talking about boring adult things. The thing I want to anti-haul is single-use crayons. So when I was a kid, there were like buckets that they would bring to the table with your paper, and you got to pick a few crayons from the bucket. Nowadays, they basically give the kids 3 of the most basic colors, blue, green, and red, and they're single-use crayons. They come in like a little pack and they put them on the table with the piece of paper. None of those crayons are getting used up in that one-time use. I don't think people are often taking those crayons home because they're literally meant to be disposable. There has seriously been like a shift in society towards things that used to be perfectly fine for them to be reusable or to be shared, and now we're coming up with disposable single-use ways around that. And when I have a kid, maybe I'll even like bring them their own crayons to the restaurant so they do have something to actually like color on, but those single-use crayons can stay in the bucket because that is ridiculously wasteful. There are ways around it that are less wasteful and are cheaper, and I just think that we should try that instead. So today I have some things that I'm anti-hauling that came from you on Instagram. I asked, what should I anti-haul for this round of anti-hauls? And you guys gave me some answers. So this one, I think I might have anti-hauled before, or at least I have a video talking about how ridiculous they are and how harmful they are to the environment. But I am definitely in the boat with anti-hauling fireworks. Definitely anti-hauling personal fireworks shows. Like when I was a kid, and even now still, my parents do this on New Year's, buying tons of fireworks to explode them at your own house. I don't know if a lot of people do this because you have to live outside the city to do this, and my parents do, and I did growing up. So it's something that we did a lot, and I definitely think they're so wasteful. Like, do you know how much like gunpowder and mineral materials have to go into a firework just for it to go into the air and explode? Not only is it wasteful and expensive, it gives me a headache, but it's also really bad for the animals who live in that area. So in our new neighborhood, we have deer everywhere. Literally, like, you can't drive from the front of my neighborhood to my house without seeing a deer, and it really panics those animals. They have no idea what the fuck you're exploding up into the air and firing off. It just seems like a big scary noise with bright flashing lights. I mean, anybody who wouldn't know what was going on would be terrified. So imagine how things like deer and squirrels, raccoons and birds, how they feel. And I know when I did a video on this before, I had a study, I got the stat, I don't remember what it is, I'll link it, or I'll put it on the screen here. But basically, there's such a huge influx in animals that get ran over and killed and stuff like that on holidays where fireworks are happening because they can't just stay in their cozy little homes. They're terrified and they end up running out into the roads and getting hurt. So I hate fireworks, and yeah, I would anti-haul them altogether. So another one that I wrote down is this little plastic thing. So my sister recently got a new like glass protector for the top of her phone. My phone has one on it, and they're not the most sustainable thing because they are kind of like, after they get broken, you can't really recycle them. But I've always had one on my phone because it's really good protection. My sister the other day ordered one, and it came with this separate plastic piece just for her to place that glass on her phone. That's it. Then that plastic just gets thrown away. Beyond it just being unnecessary single-use plastic, literally single use, when plastic is that tiny, like that thin, it's really, really hard to recycle. Plus it's blue. So I don't even think that she could recycle it if she wanted. So it's very irking to me that things like that exist and that we are producing things like that without thinking about it. So I plan for the next time when I have to replace this to get the Pila version of a screen protector. It's a very interesting thing that they're doing, and I still have yet to test it out, but I have it. And when this one is all cracked up, I am going to put the Pila screen protector on it. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll link it below and you can check it out. It's very interesting. I will film it whenever I replace mine. But yeah, I just wanted to anti-haul that, specifically that plastic part of the screen protector. I understand why screen protectors are important, but to put the separate little like plastic placer in there it's very irritating. And also what I'm gonna do, this reminds me, also what I wanna do is every time I do an anti-haul, I'm gonna write a blog post of alternatives to the things that I'm anti-hauling. So if you're looking for an alternative to anything I'm talking about, check the link in the description. There will be a blog post, like a listicle basically to the alternatives. Ooh, so this person, let's see, I'll put y'all's stuff on the screen. This person says, touchy, like this is a touchy subject, but fake flowers and other cheap plastic things for headstones. Use real flowers. So my mom has a really strong opinion on this. Her mom was really into like decorating her ancestors, but like her family members' headstones, and therefore my mom is like super into it and I'm super not. When you put those plastic flowers out on the headstones, the sun fades them. So basically, well, in my experience, what I've seen, basically if you leave them out there and they fade, then they're done. Like you can only use them for maybe like a month before they become faded and you have to replace them. That's really wasteful, and I'm not trying to make anybody mad, and I'm not trying to tell you not to do it, especially if you find like value in that, if that really brings you happiness and comfort and peace within to like do those sort of things, because I truly think that for my mom, because of how she was raised and the way she believes, that it helps her. But I would encourage you to rethink it at least. It also depends on your personal beliefs about what happens to us when we're gone, right? It almost seems like this competition to see who has like the most flowers and the most decorations and who's cared about more. Like that's how it feels to me, and that's why I don't like it. I don't like the idea of feeling like you have to go and decorate a headstone for the person who's no longer there. Maybe that was a lot touchy to get into, but that's just how I feel. Really try to rethink things like that if you haven't before. It's something that I don't think a lot of people think about, and maybe just with a little bit of extra thought, you could come up with something else to put on the headstones, like real flowers like she was suggesting, or decorations, or anything like that. Okay, that's all. Okay, so this one. I recently was sick, if you guys didn't know. I have a video about zero waste remedies if you want to go check it out. But something I wanted to anti-haul are the little plastic caps that come on top of medicine bottles. So I was really sick. I had my elderberry syrup and I have oregano oil. So I didn't start taking that though because I didn't think it was going to be necessary. I really don't even just like to take anything. I just like to let my body do its thing. But I went to my cousin's house during the time that I was sick, and I noticed that every like bottle of medicine that you buy comes with a little plastic cap, which is so weird because again, when I was a kid, we had one plastic cap that my mom owned, and it had measurements on the side of it. It was like a legitimate cup that she reused with every medicine we used. And nowadays there's a plastic cap that comes on the top of like every single medicine bottle. Just another example of how we've come from something being reusable, things that made sense, things that weren't as wasteful, and I think would have saved companies money, I don't know, to where we are now. It's just very frustrating. So if you want to buy medicine, there's not really a lot of ways around those plastic caps, unfortunately. It's just it's very irritating to me, so I wanted to anti-haul it. Okay, so we've got 2 more left. One is mine and one is one of y'all's that reminded me of it, but also kind of mine. So we'll do the one that's kind of like mine and yours at the same time. June was Pride Month. If you didn't know, happy Pride Month, happy late Pride Month to anybody who celebrated or wanted to celebrate or is an ally. Hopefully everybody watching this channel is an ally because, shocker, if you didn't already know, if you're kind of new here, I am in a lesbian relationship. I don't talk about it a whole lot because it's just not the focus of this channel, and I don't ever want to feel like othered. That's kind of my opinion on like Pride Month and why I don't talk about it a ton. Not because I'm not proud, not because I'm not obviously like an ally and a member of the community. I live my life pretty much like everybody else does, and I don't feel the need to feel separated. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Nothing is wrong with celebrating Pride Month. I have nothing against Pride Month except for this. Companies who are not ethical, companies who are not like inclusive, companies who are not, what's another word for it, who do not have good human rights practices, companies like Nike who are making pride stuff, who probably got those pieces of clothing made with slave labor that were not fair to women or trans women or are not inclusive in terms of race. Companies like literally every company. I went to Lush in June at the mall, and every freaking company I walked past had their rainbow sign out front. MAC Cosmetics, it's not even cruelty free. I don't know how MAC treats their employees or how they manufacture their stuff, but it's so frustrating to see so many companies that are not like in any way ethical using Pride Month as a way to make sales. And it's frustrating because I think also members of the LGBT community who don't realize what they're doing buy into this stuff, and it's so frustrating to see that happening. So I definitely would like to anti-haul any single large corporation that does not produce their stuff sustainably or ethically, who does not have good human rights policies. Anti-haul anything that they make in general, but definitely anti-haul anytime they slap a fucking rainbow on something and call themselves accepting or caring or whatever it is that they're trying to pretend like they are. I fucking hate it. Excuse my language. Okay, last thing I had on my list is this thing called drying agent. Have you ever heard of this? I didn't have a dishwasher for the last 3 years, and before that, I had one, but we rarely used it. Now I'm cooking at home a lot more, and we actually use our dishwasher. Yes, we let it fill up all the way because that's the most eco-friendly thing to do. But when my dishes come out, they're still wet because I use Drops dishwasher detergent. I'll try to link that below, and I do plan on doing an entire like how I clean my house, zero waste video coming up. But regardless, I use Drops dishwasher detergent, and then my stuff comes out and it's still wet. My cousin was here, and this is the only way I know about it. I think my sister told me about this too. You can buy drying agent for your dishwasher. What the fuck is in that stuff? What is in dishwasher drying agent that it's getting rid of all the water? When my dishes came out and everybody saw that they were wet, they're like, oh, you need to get some drying agent. First of all, it's gonna come in a plastic bottle, so I'm just not gonna do that. I can just dry my dishes. Plain and simple, that's all I need to know is A, it costs more money, B, it's gonna come in a plastic bottle. I don't fucking need it, I can dry my dishes. I'm so upset about this. And then I said, well, what is it? Like, they're like, you need to get drying agent. Okay, what is it? What do you mean? What is it? What is it that's making the dishes dry? It's drying agent. But what is it? Like, what kind of chemical is it that I have to add to my stuff that's making things dry when they are not like supposed to be? People that use stuff like that, I hate that if any of you guys use it, that people just put stuff like that into something without thinking, what is this made out of that it's drying my stuff for me? It's concerning. So I would like to anti-haul that because I can, if I am getting my dishes washed, like I don't have to bother washing them, the least I could do to save money and the planet is dry the dishes a little bit when they come out of the dishwasher. It's not like they're full of water. They like have water droplets. Wow. I'm anti-hauling dishwasher drying detergent. I can't believe that stuff even exists. That's so fucking weird. Alrighty guys, so those are all the things I wanted to anti-haul in today's anti-haul. I did also, really quickly, want to do some shout outs because I did my no spend challenge during the month of June, and some of you tagged me in the things that you didn't spend money on or things that you did during the no spend month. So all of you who tagged the tag, because it's not that many, are about to get a shout out. So, new plant project thanks to Rose Rude, zero waste and free. I'm trying no spend month inspired by Shelbizleee. So far so good. Love that. My no by June is going well, but this little pup almost did me in. Oh, like they almost wanted to buy that plant. That's adorable. I love that. 3 months, 10,000 people, no new clothes. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know about this. So this is about people who I guess signed a petition that said they're not going to buy any new clothes for 3 months. Very cool. Love that. That's super cool. Okay, so a story of Les was really invested in my no buy challenge. So if you want to go follow her, it looks like she's got some great content. She's getting up there, making some cool stuff. So go check her out. And thank you to anybody else who has been just tagging me aside from the no spend challenge. I will shout you out in my next videos. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. And a huge thank you to our sponsor, Squarespace, once again. I wanted to take this time to give a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video without interfering with any of the content. They're an awesome all-in-one platform where you can go and build a website, blog, or even an online store. They have super beautiful templates that are really easy to customize and are always automatically made mobile friendly. They also offer award-winning customer service 24 hours a day, which if you have ever built a website, you know that is super, super crucial and very helpful. So don't forget to check them out. As I mentioned in the intro, there are a ton of website ideas out there that could help the environment. So let me know what your idea is in the comments and I'll pick one for the next video. So think outside the box. If you're into creating a website, make sure you head to squarespace.com/Shelbizleee to get your 10% off today.